That is, what would have happened if Goku fell into the world of High School of the Dead, Chapter 1, The Beginning of the Apocalypse.
Aquí viene.
We would see how this story would begin in the courtyard of Fujimai Academy, where the sweet aroma of the cherry trees still lingered, a somewhat surreal detail, since just a second ago the emergency bell had sounded, indicating that the world had descended into true chaos. Takeshi, wake up, would say the sharp voice of Arai Miyamoto in panic, snapping the boy out of his slight trance as he wondered how everything had ended up like this, finding himself facing a classmate, a boy from the baseball team whose name he didn't even remember, who had lunged at a teacher. He wasn't hitting her, but rather biting her with an unnatural force, his jaws closing on her neck with a wet and dreadful crunch, as a spray of warm blood was seen splashing onto Takeshi's cheek. The chaos was absolute, and the screams of terror mixed with growls that sounded nothing like human. "We have to get out of here," shouted Arai, grabbing Takeshi's arm with desperate strength, who, with his survival instinct already activated, grabbed an abandoned baseball bat near his feet, thus dodging not only the outrageous scene, but also the multitude of corpses in front of them. In their flight towards the main exit, they ran into others, such as Saiko Busujima, the goddess of Kendo, who amidst the chaos was defending herself with her sword in an elegant and terrifying way. Near her was also Kota Hirano, the otaku obsessed with weapons, who was firing a pellet shotgun with tears in his eyes, while running and saying, I knew this would happen someday." And in the midst of all this was also Saya Takagi, who watched everyone with a cold and analytical gaze, as if she were studying not only the undead, but also her classmates. With these same individuals, a group united by the instinct of survival, they would make their way to the main exit doors of the institute, heading towards the great city of Tokyo, where black smoke and burning cars were what stood out. But as if that weren't the craziest thing seen today for them, suddenly they would see the sky split in two, not by thunder, but rather by a tear in the fabric of reality, a vibration that rumbled in their bones and made them stagger. This was an immense pressure, which forced them to crouch down while looking up, seeing how a black crack would open like a wound in the sky, and from its interior, a projectile of green and golden energy that plummeted to crash into the earth, tracing a line of fire. The projectile, which was something unknown to them, had crashed in the park, just a block away from the school. After the impact, the sound shattered the windows and raised a cloud of dust and debris that darkened the entire area for a moment. The shockwave was a wall of solid air that swept across the courtyard, throwing the nearby zombies into the air. And after this, only a silence remained along with the dust that settled slowly, revealing a smoking crater several meters in diameter while in its center a figure moved. It was a man, who was tall and with great musculature, and who also wore a strange orange and blue GI. After the crash into the earth, he got up staggering slightly, and rubbing the back of his neck with an expression of absolute confusion, he would say to himself, "Hey, this isn't Mount Baozu, but what's going on? Is this some kind of attack?" would say the new guy, looking around. To which, from a distance, returning to Takeshi, Arai, and Saiko, they would only watch paralyzed, wondering who this was, and how he had survived that, thus seeing how the stranger emerged from the crater, and as soon as he came out, he would be attacked by several undead. With a dry punch here, and a low kick there, that would be all the stranger needed to knock out the undead. "I wonder what's going on, and why are these people so violent?" the man would say to himself, frowning with genuine perplexity. This was seen with great astonishment by Saiko, who lowered her sword upon witnessing a level of mastery and power that was beyond anything she had ever imagined. But unfortunately, that great capacity for fighting instinct would not notice a small child who couldn't have been more than 8 years old, who was in his torn school uniform with half his face torn off, who lunged with great speed. His target wasn't the torso or the neck, but the unprotected leg of the newly arrived. To which Goku, abstracted in his thoughts looking at the whole place where he was, suddenly felt a sharp sting in his calf. "Ow," was all he said at the moment, more out of surprise than pain. Thus looking down, where the little zombie had sunk its teeth into his flesh with monstrous strength for its size. But the strangest thing wasn't the attack itself, but the sensation that accompanied it, a piercing cold, and instantaneous necrosis that spread from the wound. The skin around the small fang holes turned a pale gray, and a faint, foul-smelling black smoke began to rise from the wound. Thus seeing Goku, who with a gesture of annoyance pushed the child away with a gentle movement, sending him rolling on the ground where he lay motionless. But the damage was already done. Looking into the distance, he made eye contact with the group of survivors, revealing an expression of confusion with a grimace of pain and bewilderment. That really hurt," he would murmur while a strange pallor began to spread across his face. But as if this weren't the worst of it, a new horde of zombies, attracted by the noise and the smell of fresh blood, emerged from the buildings in search of the cause of it all. "This can't be, this is bad," Kota would say with the shotgun in hand, already ready for the worst. While Takeshi, looking around, managed to see not too far away the school bus. Without thinking, along with his great team, they headed there, and once inside, without thinking, they went in search of Goku, who was barely standing. In him, the virus combined with his Saiyan physiology was seen to react in an unprecedented way. "Are you sure about this? He's already one of them, he's infected," Psycho would say with a tense voice. To which Takeshi, who was driving, upon arriving near where Goku was, looking at the man who now trembled uncontrollably, clenching his fists, would say, "We have to take him. He is our only hope." That would be all Takeshi would say, seeing the great power of the Saiyan, thinking that he could be the solution to the great problem that had occurred just minutes before. Thus, loading Goku and putting him in the school bus to escape from the great wave of zombies that was approaching. Author's note: remember that the next chapter will be uploaded tomorrow, as we upload videos every day, provided we reach the minimum goal of 100 likes, which helps and motivates me a lot to bring this and much more content. Also, don't forget to subscribe to reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers, so we can grow more and more in this beautiful community. If you have any questions or suggestions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comment box, and I will respond as soon as possible. End of note. Next chapter, the virus.